in our society. Like you mentioned, some people are even people are living in the country in droves, and some people are feeling dissatisfied. Some even amplifying our fault lines. And what are these fault lines? The fault lines of using looking at everything from the prisms of religion, looking at everything from the tribal viewpoint, the fault line of nepotism. All these things are right there now. So talking about and behind all this, the fact that there's a bigger character which has to do with the fact that as Nigerians, over time, all these are character problems, but over time, the emphasis has been distribution instead of on production. For some of those who are feeling dissatisfied, they are dissatisfied because of how the political itself over time. And talking about the judiciary, I'm also looking at the entire legal profession. The lawyers have also, those that we believe are also supposed to be conscious of the nation, coming from the temples of justice, how they have also been able to conducting themselves in such a manner that is unsatisfactory or unsatisfactory. So generally, looking at it all, as the issue of production, emphasis on distribution instead of production. Nobody is really sitting down. What we had as national wealth, what we had as really national assets, most of it has broken down. And poor maintenance culture. So many things when you talk about the mentality of the Nigerian and the Japa syndrome that we're currently seeing. That's the issue of migration. Migrating out of the country to look for greener pastures. But the truth is that even those people that are rushing out of the country, I think we sit down here and develop our own. The places that you are rushing to, some of them are no longer safe. People went to Sudan, and crisis came up in that country. They started rushing back. Now people have gone to Israel. The Middle East is unsafe. So you begin to wonder what is the state of those people, especially of how many of our citizens are in some of these countries. You know our character, part of our character is travel out all kinds of things. Some of them with foreign documents, and when they even go to those countries, they don't report to the embassy. So the embassies of Nigeria may not have the reliable statistics on people that are there.
All right.
People that may have even suffered from this. Yes. All right. Let me stop here.
All right. So now let me come back to the question I asked, and let me rephrase the question. When we get to countries like America, we have been told that there is the popular saying, it is not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. And in your explanation, you have said Nigerians have the mentality of consumption, where things are given, distributed, to the people, to Nigerians, and not necessarily production and what people can do to boost the economy of the country. How did we get there? One, before the election, for instance, yes, we had ethnic divides. It wasn't as deep as it is now. We had religious divides. It wasn't as it is now. But if you go on social media, if you go on different platforms, you would now see how worsened these various divisions have become. How did we get here? Is there something we've missed along the road that is now, even more eroding whatever unity we have left?
Yeah, it wouldn't be correct to say that these divisions actually started now. These divisions were actually there. I must confess to the fact that these divisions were there. We saw a situation where in the last administration, for example, even basic aspects of the Constitution, when it comes to appointment, when it comes to federal character, all those were actually a violation of those provisions of the Constitution. A situation where virtually all service chiefs came from one section of the country. That in itself speaks volume. And even when the other sections of the country are given some accommodation, we also know that majority, even the mainstay of the economy, if you go into for instance, take major corporations, for example, that are in terms of petroleum and petroleum resources. You will see a complete dominance of a section of the country at the expense of others. But this in itself, people did not come out very strong, but the undercurrents were there, and people did actually, in some cases, people actually spoke out. But their voices were perhaps not loud enough, or their voices were drowned by the louder voices. And of course, in Nigeria, because of what I've mentioned, the issue of sharing, the issue of distribution, even those who ought to have spoken out basically hid under the fact that these were our parties, these were our friends, these were that should not continue. Traces of it now we are beginning to see. And I think it should be discouraged.
All right.
People are becoming louder now. That does not mean that these things have not been there.
A quick question.
And for nation building, that is bad, yes.
Now, you've mentioned the government. So a quick question. First, do you think the institutions, because you said these divisions have worsened, so do you think the various government institutions, from the courts to people in the executive arm of government to the various organs of government, do you think they have failed the people? Because you also mentioned trust and apathy, and that is the reason why the people now feel the way they feel. And if your answer is yes, the question will be, with this kind of mentality that Nigerians have, can Nigeria be great?
Yeah, if you say the people are also the institutions. The institutions are also run by people.
Okay.
The people are also the same Nigerians. That does not in any way mean there are not few persons that also think otherwise. In some cases, you have patriots, and so to be frank with you, some of these patriots don't want the country to be better, might even be more in number. But there is this very vocal minority, and this vocal minority might also be the people. Their voices are loud because they also control state resources, and they are able to apply those resources in a way that is favorable to them, in a way that also cows the others that might also be in the majority. So for me, all hope is not lost. Nigeria has the opportunity of being great again, but again, the leadership must have it right. The fish, I'm a river person. I will know that when the fish begins to rot, it rots from the head. And it is even biblical that that if you want to deal with a matter, that you deal with the head. You know, if you want to deal with, for instance, troops, by the time you deal with the head, you put them in disarray. That's why the issue of leadership for us is very critical. Having the right leaders in place and making sure that those leaders do what is right. And you know that looking at other countries that actually started with us, today they are far ahead because of the nature of leadership. Look at Singapore. Look at even China. China by 1949.
All right, Mr. Ayotamuno, I would have to pause you. We have a commercial break coming up, so you stay on the line. When we come back, more questions, and then we open the phone lines.
All right.
On 92.3 Nigeria Info, hard facts with yours truly, Kala Dakurubat. But I've got a guest, young Ayotamuno, the director Rivers State Chapter of the Orientation Agency, and we are talking about the Nigerian mentality. And we're wondering, what is the Nigerian mentality given our current lack of faith in the growth of the country? And how do we cause a mental shift, a paradigm shift in the way we think about Nigeria as our country? Welcome back to the show, Mr. Young Ayotamuno.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm here.
All right, so let's get to the next question. How do we get Nigerians to believe again? Because you said, yes, the trust has been eroded by the institutions in the country, but then the institutions are also handled by people who are Nigerians. But how do we get to the point where we build a mentality where everybody believes in Nigeria and decides to invest in Nigeria? If you ask the average young person, which of course is the labor force of the country, what his or her plans are, they'll tell you that they are about to leave the country, for greener pastures. How do we make Nigerians believe in Nigeria again?
Well, I've mentioned this. The first, we have to start from the level of the leadership. Leadership is very critical in anything that we are doing. The next thing is also to make sure that, like you mentioned, the institutions, that they are not just there for the namesake, that whatever those institutions are supposed to be doing, that they're actually doing those things. And one of the ways that we can do it is also to look at the enabling act, establishing those institutions and making sure that those institutions they actually do what they are supposed to be doing in line with the enabling act. So the Constitution is very, very important. And it's important that all of us have faith in the Constitution and also have respect for the Constitution. And just like you have mentioned, we need to look at, in terms of leadership, we also need to readdress our leadership recruitment process. When we address our leadership recruitment process, such that there is also internal, and then the various institutions acting right in our various corners. Let's be committed once again, to as much as possible reward hard work, and make sure that those who are in one way or the other in violation, those who in one way or the other commit infractions against the values that we hold in high esteem, the values that we cherish, that those people who violate them, that appropriate sanctions are also meted out to them. So the important thing is that we should first have a culture of wanting to do that which is right, and to get everybody back, all hands must be on deck. We are also, as an agency, we are also not relenting on making sure that we are out there doing our own enlightenment. But again, the body language is wanting to do an enlightenment. After you have done an enlightenment, those who are supposed to be representing, or those who are supposed to be the manifestors, those who are supposed to be manifesting that enlightenment, they are doing things that are different. So for me, I believe that we need to, all hands must be on the deck and make sure that sanctions, definitely you have to sanction people who are doing what is wrong. And it's not a matter of looking at things from the religious angle. Okay, this person is somebody of the same faith with me. If he has done anything wrong, he shouldn't let him go. Or this person, making everything partisan and politicizing everything. No, that shouldn't be the case. We must begin to look at ourselves, look at our faces one on one, look at ourselves and apply ourselves to doing that which is right. It is only by doing that that we can begin to talk about the greatness of this country again. This country is actually great in resources, great in people, great in intellect. But we must begin to, as much as possible, emphasize merit in our processes. And I think we'll begin to do some of these things. The reward system itself must recognize merit. When we begin to do some of these things, I think we will be turning the country around.
Okay.
Especially looking at these things at the point of view. The younger generation, that's the generation that takes over tomorrow. We used to have a book for their tomorrow, we gave our today. But today is the reverse. The situation is that even the future of these younger people have already been eaten the way it is presently standing and the way it is currently appearing. So we need to look inwards again. Yes.
Now you've mentioned
self-examination. Yes.
You've mentioned the importance of leadership in this mental shift. But how do we get the thought pattern of our leaders to fit into all of these explanations that you have done? How do we get them to, first of all, imbibe the culture of respecting and following the Constitution, imbibe the culture of production, like you said, imbibe the culture of putting the country first? How do we imbibe the culture from the leadership level, the culture of not politicizing everything? That's, yes, Nigerian mentality, but like you said, Nigerians are the ones who man these institutions of government.
Yes, it's the same Nigerians that have the responsibility. We have a social responsibility to get our leadership right. I've mentioned the issue of leadership, and I've also mentioned here that the process of recruitment is also very important.
But not the reason why I asked the question, we're not doing recruitment just now, and we have people in leadership. How do we get them to think right, to think Nigeria, to think Nigerians? How do we get them to think in these patterns?
Yes, we have to getting them to think Nigerian. They all know that it is important and that it is possible for us to make them to think Nigerian. What is that thinking Nigerian? They clearly, when we talk about thinking Nigerian, we are talking about talking about the unity of the country, having faith in the process, and we are talking about justice and progress, all of it coming together. So when we are talking about getting these people in place, they are all seeing them, most of them in position now, they are all sworn to an oath, first and foremost. Sworn to an oath to do that which is right. And one way you can get them to think is, one way you can get them to think Nigerian is to hold them to the oath that they are actually sworn to. That is one way we can also get them in place to think Nigerian. And that is where the issue of the civil society organizations, the media, the civil society organizations, and all other institutions, that is where they are important. They have to continuously expose what is wrong, and continuously, if it needs action, if it needs legal action in some cases, we also have a duty to institute some of these things to hold them to account. There are some organizations currently that are also trying to hold them to account, because vigilance is very, very important.
All right.
So the price of liberty is vigilance. So both as individuals, as citizens, as groups, as institutions, we must make every effort to make sure that we hold these things accountable. Accountability, build a culture, a sense of accountability in them. Where they have exhibited any form of unaccountability, we make sure that we bring them towards addressing such acts. And you know that these are things that this is where we are also talking about a strong judiciary. A strong judiciary. So accountability is important.
All right, now let's quickly look at one more issue so we can open the phone lines. The issue of fake news and propaganda. Now, we just talked about BBC report not too long ago concerning the president's certificate. There are other issues that we've seen fake news and propaganda on social media. How do we, we've been talking about fake news for a while now, for years, but really, just as our division is worsening, fake news spread is also worsening in the country. How do we put a stop, or at least reduce it to the barest minimum? Fake news, that is.
Yes, fake news had always been there. Fake news had always been there, but I think what has happened is that over time, because of the presence of the social media, we only had a conventional media prior to this time, but the social media has actually multiplied and amplified fake news today. If you look at it, fake news, both in terms of disinformation, whether you want to talk of malinformation, any of them, you know that the social media, every person now, in some form, I should say guerrilla journalists. People just stay in a place, use TikTok, use the TikTok app. Some of them use YouTube and then put anything that is in place. But I think one way of checking it is to look at some of the apps that we can apply to check this fake news. For instance, there are fact checkers. When you receive any information, you should also exercise some restraint as a citizen. You should also exercise some restraint in immediately pushing out such news, especially a news item that can divide this country, a news item that can cause crisis in the country. I think this the first step to be taken. Anytime there's you find a news item, and if that news item is not a proper one, I think it can be tested by going to Google, putting it on Google for Google to establish whether or not if it's a fake news, and immediately you will know. There are also other fact-checking apps that can be applied to establish if it is fake news. So we need to do all that. And then for those who are also passing fake news, if we're able to get the identity of such person, I think it is also necessary that such person be, that either court action or such person be shamed in one way or the other, or sanctions imposed on them.
All right. Okay, so let's open the phone lines. What are your takes on this? Can we build faith in Nigeria yet again? Like the national anthem will say, "Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey." Can we, as Nigerians, build our faith and trust in Nigeria over again, and build it to the point where Nigeria can be great? But I would love to hear from you. What is the Nigerian mentality, in your opinion? What is the Nigerian mentality? 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. Those are the call numbers. Ring the studio right now. Remember, what is the Nigerian mentality? 1, 2. Can we retune that mentality? Can we recalibrate that mentality to suit building faith in the country, so that the country can benefit all of Nigerians? That's the conversation. God's Power is calling from a chair. Remember, we're live on Facebook. You could drop your comments there. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0809 0306 God's Power from HA. Welcome. What is on your mind?
It isn't like the question you asked. How can we rebuild? Because Nigeria has been broken. But you may not know. How do we rebuild it? It is when all our mindset and thinking focus on how to rebuild Nigeria as an entity.
Okay.
I don't know what I understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we are thinking differently. And if it is a football team and everybody is thinking differently, the unity of the football team will not succeed. They will not play well. It is when everybody is thinking of how to score goal, who to give and who to. The problem we have is the nature and the leadership, the mode of selecting leadership. Call it anyhow. It is not well democratically elected nature. That is the problem we're having. Everybody, there's smuggled and there's smuggled. When you smuggle somebody there, you have some disciples who will also follow. They are not looking at merit of those who can perform, but they're thinking of their fellowship, their party. That's the problem we have. And when they come, they don't think of Nigeria. They think of themselves.
All right, then. All right.
Previously, when Mandazit were them there, they were thinking of Nigeria as an entity. Now, these people are thinking of tribal or family or their own. Until Messiah will come and say Nigeria is one entity, let's work towards. Also, they're making slogan, they're just talking tough.
Okay.
And doing less.
All right. Thank you very much, Gospel.
Look, I'm not concluded.
No, I have other people. Quickly, please.
Okay. Let's say what I'm saying. If we want to get it right, we'll start by election. When we get the right people at the right place, you'll see that something will change.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much, God's Power. Sorry, Miss Ayotamuno, could you hear God's Power while he was talking?
No, I didn't hear the first part of it. I only heard the concluding part.
Okay, I guess it was.
It's when we conduct proper elections and we have the right people in place, then we know that things will begin to move right.
All right.
That's the conclusion.
All right, then. Yeah, we had network issues then. Israel is calling from Awuda. Israel, greetings to you. Welcome on the show.
Yeah. Canada, good day.
Yeah, greetings.
Yeah, this is Comrade Israel Dixon Igbo from Odereke Ubi, West Ekpe.
Okay.
My brother, I went to appeal to Atiku. I know I'm a full member of PDP, but let's allow PDP to reign in Nigeria, because as them are fighting Tinubu, the masses are suffering. What they're supposed to do is to do what? Because there is no sense of doing case. You see, what all of us were praying for is Nigeria to go forward. They could have put hands together to work with Tinubu, and
but you do understand, Israel. You do understand that they have a right to go to court and question. Okay, we lost that call there. I've got Eze Ken from Ubimiri. Eze Ken, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, Canada.
Yeah, good evening, Eze Ken.
I think if I should go in this perspective, during the former president, President Jonathan, I thought he organized what we call the national confab. Based on the question, I think that should have been a particular place we should be discussing about Nigeria, being Nigeria. That is where every issue of our mentality of being one Nigeria should have been succeeded. But it was unfortunate that immediately after his regime or his tenure, everything concerning that national confab was thrashed away. So had even the Indian president stick on that program or scheme, by now we should have known who is who and who is to be kept.
But Eze Ken, we're having a confab now. We're having a conversation. You can still air your views on how we can, get it right.
You want my own individual?
Yes, of course. That's why we're having a conversation. Right? Yeah, that's why we're having a conversation here.
Hello.
I can hear you. I want your own individual contribution.
In my own opinion, I will say that let everyone see both Dick and Harry, Tom and Jerry, as one blood. We are talking about Nigeria here. That is to be whatever. Thank you very much. That's only what I have for you.
Thank you very much. I've got Ilumba from Artillery. Ilumba, welcome.
I greet you, Kalala.
I guess you're right back. Welcome on the show.
You see what you're asking now? If you look at it by the years that passed by, since 1960, white man left this country. If you look at those who rule Nigeria, there are one thing to say about it. From the time of Nanda Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, Awolowo, these are the people that they call founding father of Nigeria. If you look at their statement and their action, you will say one thing, except you are not sincere. These people never loved Nigeria at all. Almost all of them. The only person who died for Nigeria is only Awolowo.
So how can we? That's why I'm asking the question. No. How can we love? I mean, I don't want to go back to the rhetorics. How can we then build that love that we never had, like you said?
That is a. You know that as you do so in Canada, your children you are going to born tomorrow is going to be you, because you are going to be your children born them. What you hate now, they may likely do. That is what it is. Let me tell you something. People think about the women now that go to school. You see our own time now. Even the current president that won Nigeria now, people shout here, "Don't give us palliative. Do something that will help everybody." He said, "You must eat palliative. You must eat palliative." How far now?
All right. Thank you.
The poverty and the cry, I said, they didn't change anything. So what people are doing, if you say talk and die, nothing will change. I told you, this is fact.
So you're saying nothing will change, right? That's what you're saying.
See, the only thing they will do if they must get Nigeria right is to say the plan we have in this election succeeded. They could have seen revolution they never seen before. Revolution is the only thing that we change this thing. Right. Either electoral revolution or political revolution, not only killing people. I didn't advocate for such. But if it was what we planned in the election succeeded, by now, people could have confessed, say, I've not seen good something like this before.
Right.
It could have been a good one, by the way.
And so you don't think right now good something can happen to Nigeria?
It can happen if people are willing to do it, but the willingness is not there.
All right, then. Thank you, Lumba. Lumba, I've got to go now. I've got Muriel from Okrika. Muriel, greetings to you. Welcome on the show.
Thank you, Kalada. Good evening.
Yeah, greetings to you.
Kalada, I think the mentality of Nigerians is just the survival mentality. Nigerians are one of the people on earth that can survive anything. No matter how harsh the economy is, no matter how harsh the situation is, Nigerians can survive it. They struggle to survive. Look, Canada, do you know that with this phone in our hands, there are so many things we're seeing. Nigeria is a country that is rich in oil. Now, with your phone, just with one touch, you will see what is happening to your fellow human beings in other parts of the world that have this same crude oil that you have in your country. You are a Nigerian, you are a Nigerian daughter. In your mother's place, there is crude. In your father's place, there is oil. And yet you struggle to survive. You struggle to eat. And yet you remain civil. You call on the phone. You negotiate. You plead with government to try to see reasons why they need to change. Look, Canada, Nigerians are the most tolerable, what would I say, really the most tolerant people on earth. We try as much as we can to survive what has been imposed by our leaders on us. And when you ask if there is faith, Canada, I still have faith. And just like me, there are some persons that still have faith in the country. But Canada, you know, there is only an extent which you push a person to. Nigerians keep on negotiating, keep on pleading with their government, with their leaders. Just like your leader, your guest said, it starts from the head. It's just the issue of if the head, our leaders decide to take a turn around, just a little turn around. You will see how Nigerians are, even those that are jackpying. It is not the vast majority of Nigerians that are traveling, that are running out. We are still here. We are still hoping, knowing that one day, maybe we are still praying to God. You see the way we hold on to our religion, that one day our God will change our leaders.
All right.
Even if we know that when we stand collectively on our own, all Nigerians stand, we can turn our leaders ourselves. But yes, we are still humble.
Muriel, I've got to go.
So I think it's a survival mentality.
Muriel, I've got to go.
Thank you. Survivors.
All right, thank you very much, Muriel. Christian from Auda. Christian, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Good evening, Mr. Canada.
Yeah, greetings to you.
See, we can get Nigeria back on track by, number one, we Nigerians believe in what the Americans believe, what you can do to your country, not what you take from your country.
All right.
Number two, we use the right people at the right office. For example, look at the state governor, the current one. Just look at what he's doing there. Like, something like senior president, with those kind of people, cannot get Nigeria on the right track.
Why do you feel so?
I'm thinking about what we do for the country, not what we gain from the country.
Okay.
We can get it right.
All right.
We still have a very good people in the country that can get it right.
All right. Thank you very much, Kristen. Let's move on now to the WhatsApp platform. This one says, good day, sir. We lie to ourselves as Nigerians if we think that we are united or we will be united. Just look at the level of nepotism and tribalism being exhibited by the president in the appointment of his cabinet. President Buhari exhibited the same nepotism but was better. Tinubu is doing worse. No country can be great with such nepotism and tribalism coming from our so-called leaders. Chinedu from Onne. This one says, good afternoon, my name is Steve. Are you working? Okay, I think that's not our conversation. Let's see. This one says, the mentality that the system has failed or nothing is working again is not different from what we experience every day. Israel and America can fight the whole world to protect their citizens, while Nigeria as a country can only blame you for attending the party. After all, the same person who unleashed terror to innocent Nigerian citizens during EndSARS. Okay, Obina from Rumokoro, that is an allegation I can read on radio. Your question has deep insight. As by a loving, illustrious citizen of Nigeria, there is absolute lack of faith and nationalism in the citizenry, as selfishness, greed, and lately apathy has taken over the psyche of the citizens. For example, who are those losing faith in the naira? Who are those selling and buying the American dollar in Nigeria? Are they not Nigerians, and more so full-blown adults that ought to know the severe consequences of their actions? The president's certificate forgery case that threatens the citizens' loyalty to the president is a case in point. Instead of calling a spade what it is, ethnic chauvinism have taken over instead. This is the sad reality of the times. Jerry Michael is texting from Port Harcourt. Nigeria will be great again if our leaders can tell the simple truth and stop playing 419 and selfishness to each other. Confidence in Lebidem from Ozueche. And this one says, certificate saga, every day for thief, one day for the owner. Kehinde, thank you very much for your message. Emi Fiaga says, I am worried whenever people proceed that under former President Buhari, all service chiefs were appointed from the north. Such position is misleading and divisive too. Here are the names of the service chiefs in Buhari's first term. Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olunusakim South. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuko Buratai North. Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibokwe Ibas South. And Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar North. The North got 2 and the South got 2 as well. Service chiefs in Buhari's second term were Nigerian News Service, Lucky Rabo, Ibrahim Atairu, Ishaka Amal, Awal Gambo. South got 2 as well as the North, meaning both dichotomies got 2. We need to jettison such misleading information in order to encourage unity. Emi Fiaga. And that's the much that's okay. As Blessing from Oju says, the mentality is a suffering and smiling mentality. But back to you, Mr. Ayotamuno. We've come to the closing part of the show, so I'd like to get your final words on this issue.
Yes, my final word on this matter is clear. With those that have contributed, you can see where the challenge is. In fact, the mentality of the Nigerian has been clearly defined. Some have defined it as suffering and smiling. Others have defined it as that of indiscipline. Past indiscipline. Others have described it as greed. All of it boils down to the point that, the Nigerian emphasizes the issue of distribution. The character of the Nigerian is to look at distribution, and that what is available, so much available, is not actually going around because a few persons have appropriated the resources of this country, not only in terms of cash, in terms of appointments and everything. Today, we are suffering what we call inheritocracy. But on the final note, let me say that revolutionary pressure, let me remind us, revolutionary pressures are beginning to mount. We are calling it suffering and smiling to there's a limit to which citizens can bear it. So let us not push the citizens to the wall, and then we'll have the situation that we can't control in our hands. I think it's important that we put in place the necessary changes that we have recommended here. Put in place the right leadership. The leadership should take the they should be at the front, and then put in place the right policies that will move this country forward.
All right.
And I believe that so many Nigerians are ready. The vocal minority are those who have appropriated everything and are using it against us. Many Nigerians are ready to walk this country on the right path. And change must begin with each of us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for your time, the Director General, the National Orientation Agency.
The
State Director. I keep missing it. Sorry about that. State Director, National Orientation Agency, Young Ayotamuno. Thank you very much for joining the conversation.
Thank you, sir.
And giving us your view. All right, then. More conversations to come. To stay tuned. For now, the news update is next.